Hey guys, don't mind me working on this. I'm trying to finish up a blanket that I need to have done by Friday. Sorry I didn't make any videos the last 2 weeks. I kept thinking about it the days that I usually would record a video and either just didn't get around to it or I was too busy with other stuff because things have been kind of chaotic. And I also didn't really have anything different to add at the time, so it didn't feel as important to do an update. But I wanted to do an update this week just to kind of catch up. So I have done some skating. It's been kind of tricky because I've had some things come up, like the days that I usually do skating that have prevented me from being able to, or like my friend who I tried to go skating with hasn't been able to for different reasons. There were a couple times that I went skating without her, but like I've mentioned in past videos, it's definitely harder for me to skate as long if I'm by myself. It's just not as fun, and it's harder to make it as long because it feels kind of pointless almost, even though I know it isn't because obviously I'm doing it for a purpose. But it just feels weird to just be skating around in circles by myself. And so I definitely can't do it as long by myself, but I did go a couple times. This week, I don't think I'm gonna go skating because it's so cold outside and windy and wet. So I don't think I'm gonna end up doing that, but that was another thing I was gonna update about, is that I decided to try walking just around the neighborhood, or maybe after dropping off my daughter at school, stopping at like a park or something, or a different neighborhood and going for a walk. Just because that's something that's easier to do. I'll explain about that in a minute, but easier to do every day versus trying to skate every day. And I don't have to do anything special for it. Like with skating, it feels like there's a barrier to starting because I have to go to one specific place and I have to bring my skating gear and put on my skates, which takes several minutes, and like get started and whatever. There are like all these obstacles. Granted, each of them on their own isn't a big deal, but like it kind of adds up and makes it feel like it's like a whole thing to get started. Whereas with walking, you just walk. Like you don't have to wear anything special. You don't have to do anything special. Like you can just walk anywhere. And I was reading about how beneficial walking is and watching videos about it and stuff. Videos about people saying that adding walking helps them with stress a lot and helps them lose weight, and how it's good for your health overall. And my doctor also had said in the past that I should be walking like half an hour every day, but I have not been doing that. And so I wanted to start doing that. I've been kind of busy the last several days, so it's only actually happened 2 times or 3 times. And I had decided like maybe 5 days ago to start doing this. It's only happened like twice maybe. and then the weather got really cold, which makes it harder. And I'm wondering how I'm going to do it during the winter. But when we first moved to this house, I had decided to start walking every day, and it was fairly cold when I decided to start, and I did still do it fairly often despite it being cold, and I actually kind of liked it better, even though I hate being cold. But I actually kind of liked it better because I warm up pretty quickly from like very minimal exercise, and so it being colder out actually felt better because then I'd warm myself up pretty quickly and then not be cold anymore overall. And then I would just wear like a coat and then like a sweater like this. So once I had been walking for several minutes and was warm enough, then I would actually end up being able to take my coat off and just carry it and wear the sweater. And then once I'd been walking for a while, then I was warm enough that I'd just roll the sleeves up. And so once it started getting warmer, I think I actually didn't like it as much. But being layered and walking when it was colder actually seemed a bit easier, which was surprising to me because I really don't like the cold. I'm from Texas and have lived in Texas most of my life, and so I'm not used to the cold typically, but I do overheat pretty easily, and so I think it kind of balances it out, like having the layers. And so like I've had trouble like getting started, but I think once I actually get started and like tell myself, okay, like don't think about it that much, just do it like every day you're gonna go for a walk, and I stop making excuses about it, like once I actually get started, I think that'll be good, because I remember when I first moved here and was walking fairly consistently. I think I did it for maybe close to a month. And I remember that I did feel really good afterwards. Like I felt good about myself that I had done it. And I also felt good physically because I'd always do it in the morning. I felt good that I had done that to start off the day. And then I would have more energy. It didn't last the whole day for me, but it did last like several hours after. I would have more energy than days that I didn't go. And that was another reason that I was wanting to start doing this, is because I have chronic fatigue, and so I'm like just tired all the time. And I was trying to find ways to help myself have more energy, because I would take a nap most days, because it feels like I need to, otherwise I can't make it through the day. But it honestly doesn't really feel like it helps me a lot of the time, and then it just takes out a chunk of my day. So then sometimes it feels like a waste, but then it still feels like I can't get by without it. So then I was thinking, well, if I can make myself exercise often and that gives me more energy, then maybe eventually I'll get to the point where I don't feel like I have to take a nap, and then I'll have that time during the day to do other stuff. So that was a component in me deciding to do this. But I remember when I was doing it, it did give me more energy for several hours. And it's something that I can do by myself. I don't like to as much, but I could do it by myself and listen to music, or listen to a podcast, or listen to an audiobook. Or what I prefer is to walk with someone else, but it's kind of hard to get someone to consistently commit to it and be able to rely on them. But walking and talking to somebody definitely makes it easier to walk around more, because then I'm focused on talking to them, and then I want to walk more because I don't want the conversation to end, versus when I'm by myself and I'm like, I don't really feel like doing this, and I kind of want it to end sooner because I just want to be done with the walking. When I'm with someone else, I'm focusing on being with them, and I know if we stop walking, that means I won't be with them anymore and we won't be talking anymore. And so then I want to walk farther because I don't want that interaction to end, so it kind of spurs me to exercise more. It's like the same kind of thing with the skating. And I did see, like, 2 days after I decided to start walking, I did see a post in our neighborhood Facebook group about moms wanting to exercise together, and some of them were like wanting to do a Zumba thing. Some of them were like, oh, I wanted to have like a walking buddy and whatever. And I was like, oh, that's perfect, because I was literally just thinking that I needed one. So I want to see if I can find at least one person who can consistently meet up during times that I'm free and we can walk together, and then maybe I'll make a new friend. That would be a bonus. Oh, and then the other big thing is that the last couple weeks have been having trouble. Like, I've been doing decently well with the fasting and like cutting it off early enough in the day to get like a good amount of fasting hours, but I wasn't, I was having like different things come up, or I was just kind of making excuses, and not eating enough in the house before I had to go out and do stuff, and then I would end up getting fast food while I was out of the house. And so I ended up the last like 2 weeks eating more fast food than I usually do, and therefore also having more soda than I usually do, and managed to gain 5 pounds back. Did not realize that it would happen that fast. I know there can be like water weight and whatever, but like I gained 5 pounds back, so I made like 2 pounds of negative progress from when I started doing these videos, something around there, which was pretty discouraging, especially since I'd been more consistent with the fasting. And I was like, all right, one, I need to stop eating so much fast food because usually I don't eat that much, and I also need to stop spending so much money. But two, this is way more soda than I usually consume, and I try to not have it that often. And so I was watching some videos about like cutting down on soda, stuff like that, but I have a really hard time with doing things in moderation. Like, for certain things, like, I either do it or I don't. Like, it's hard for me to do it in the middle, especially when it's something I really enjoy. So I either have to cut it out completely or just not do anything about it. Like, it's hard for me to cut down on it. So I was like, alright, I'm just gonna have to cut out soda. And so I was watching videos about cutting out soda, and like, I was trying to find ones with tips on how to do it and suggestions of like how to be successful with it, because I know people really struggle with it because it can be very addictive. But I ended up finding one that was talking about all the effects that soda has on the body, and I had wanted to cut it out because of all the sugar in it. That was the main one, because I knew that I already consumed too much sugar anyway, and then with the amount of soda that I'd been having lately, I was like, alright, this is just way too much sugar, and it's making me gain the weight back, and I need to be going the opposite direction to be able to meet my goal by May. So that was my main motivation. But when I found that one video, it was talking about all the different effects that it has on your body, like it greatly increases your risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and it has bad effects on your liver and I think your pancreas and all this stuff. And so it was a bunch of different things, and I was like, all right, I feel like I should just quit soda for good, which made me kind of sad because I really love Coke. But I was like, I would rather not have these health effects, obviously, versus enjoying the taste of the Coke. Like, there are other things that taste good that I can enjoy instead. So then I decided to cut it out. And so I did that this week. I was debating just trying only drinking water for a while, and I was like, no, I think that's gonna be too much. Like, that's gonna be going too hard the opposite direction, and I don't think that it's gonna be setting me up for success, because I'm just gonna be craving drinking anything and not be able to sustain it. So I've still been drinking other things, but I have been trying to drink more water because I already needed to. And since I wasn't drinking very much water, more than like a few sips a day, honestly, I started trying to drink some during the day, but I didn't really have a set goal. And then my husband said that he could try like matching, like he was like, pick an amount and I'll match you on that amount to help motivate me. And so I had already realized at that point that my water bottle that I was using, which is opaque, was not helping me, that I needed a clear one so I could see how much water I drank and how much I still had left, and I needed to see the measurements on there. And so I found a clear water bottle in our house, and it didn't have the measurements on there, so I measured it out and put labels on there. And so that one was a little bit more than 24 ounces, so I told him, okay, our goal is 24 ounces, and that's what we'll start with. And so yesterday and the day before, I met that goal. And it was a lot easier than I expected, considering I hadn't been drinking a full water bottle of water in quite a long time. But having the visual of how much water was still in the bottle and how much I had drank already really helped. And also the challenge of, well, we're both drinking this amount, and like being able to see how much he had drank in his water bottle, and like trying to beat him and finish mine first, definitely was motivating and made it easier for me to finish. Plus, it didn't feel like as much water because the water bottle was really skinny. So even though like it's as much water as if it were like a shorter, fatter bottle, like it being a tall, skinny one made it seem like less. I don't know, I guess it was just tricking my brain or whatever, but it made it a little bit easier. And so I was able to finish it the last 2 days. And once I've had maybe like, I don't know, a week of it being fairly easy to complete the 24 ounces, I want to increase it and maybe do like 1.5 of those water bottles. And then once I do that consistently for a little while, then increase to 2 water bottles. And I want to keep it a realistic goal, something that I actually can achieve, so that I'm not feeling bad about myself that I didn't make the goal by the end of the day because I set it too high and it was unrealistic, and then I get discouraged. But I did notice like 2 days after I stopped drinking soda, and I wasn't drinking it every day. It was close, but like I wasn't drinking it every single day. And it was only like probably 1 soda a day, maybe 2. But they were like bigger sodas, like a small at McDonald's I think is like 16 ounces or something. And then sometimes I would have like, I'd have between like 16 to like 32 ounces, depending on where I was getting it from. So it wasn't like I was drinking like a ton, but it's still like way more sugar than is necessary. And so, like I was weighing myself before I stopped drinking soda, and then like each day after, and within 2 days of stopping the soda and drinking more water, and it wasn't even that much more water, I had already gone down 2.5 pounds. And so it already was making a big difference, which was really encouraging to see that like right away, that it was going to make such a big difference, because I was worried that I was going to cut it out and it was going to like have no like obvious effect. Like obviously it would have an effect, but I was worried it wouldn't have like a tangible, measurable effect that I could find. And so seeing a difference on the scale almost immediately was really encouraging. And so I want to keep up with that. And I posted on Facebook that I was quitting soda to try to get tips from people who have stopped drinking soda and like success stories, which I did get a good amount of those. And I did notice that a lot of people who had quit soda years ago and hadn't gone back, a lot of them were saying they never looked back or they never regretted it. And that was really encouraging to hear, because I was thinking like, well, I'm gonna miss the taste of Coke and I love it so much and I feel like I'm missing out. But like a lot of them were like, I don't feel like I'm missing out. I don't miss it. Like once you get to a point where you don't crave it anymore, you don't regret not having it. And so that was really encouraging. But other than that aspect of it, I did notice that as much as I do like having support for hard things that I'm doing, and it is nice to have that, I realized that it doesn't really change that much how I feel about what I'm doing. Like, yes, it's nice to know that people are like, yeah, you can do it, and I believe in you and all this stuff, but like it doesn't really change how I feel about whether I can do it or not. But one person commented and said that when she quit soda, it was because her brother didn't believe she could do it, and she was like, well, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And so she did. And I was like, you know what, that I feel like we're like the same person, because when people tell me, no, you shouldn't do that, or no, I don't think you can do that, I'm like, well, I'll show you. And so I was like, that sounds like a better motivator to me than people encouraging me and saying, yes, you can do it. Because then it feels like, okay, yes, I can do it, and people think I can do it. And so if I do it, like, it doesn't really change anything. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but when someone doesn't think that you can do it, it feels more powerful to prove them wrong, I guess, than just affirming what people said you could do. And so I told my brother and sister that, and then my sister was like, well, you can't do it. In a couple weeks, you're just gonna end up back on soda again, just like any other addict. I was like, well, I will prove you wrong then. And there have been a few times recently where I've thought about having soda. I know it's only been like, I think today's the 5th day. I haven't had like strong cravings, but I have thought about it every day. And I did go to McDonald's one time since I stopped. And I wasn't able, like, I was getting food for my daughter because we were out of the house and she hadn't eaten yet. I wasn't able to resist getting some food for myself, even though I was trying to not have fast food. I wasn't like trying to quit it completely, but I was definitely trying to cut it down. I wasn't able to resist getting some food for myself while we were there, but I was able to resist getting a soda for myself, which was big because McDonald's is a huge trigger for me because they have the best Coke. And so the fact that I was able to go through the drive-thru and not get one was huge. I wanted one, but I was like, I have water in the car, I can just drink that. It didn't taste as good as if I'd had a Coke, but, and like I've conditioned myself to think, oh, when I'm going out, then I have soda. I can drink water anytime, but when I go out, I have soda with it. And so I definitely have to break that mindset. But the fact that I was able to go through that drive-thru and not get a soda was awesome, and I was really proud of myself. And I haven't had really strong cravings, which is good. And I had a headache yesterday, and it seemed like it maybe was because of not having caffeine. Like, the only caffeine that I typically have is from the Coke, which I know has a lot less than coffee, but if I was drinking it fairly regularly, I was still getting like a decent amount of caffeine. Not every day, but like several times a week. And so then going to no soda, and the fact that I don't really drink coffee, meant I was going to no caffeine at all. And so I did have a bit of a headache yesterday, and ended up drinking some coffee to see if it would help with that, and it did. So I think it was from the lack of caffeine. But hopefully as I get more used to not drinking the soda, it will go away. And I'm hoping that it will help me speed up with the weight loss, and it will help with me having more energy, because it also was saying like when you drink the soda, it gives you like a really fast high sugar spike, and then it can drop you after, which I hadn't noticed like a very clear like sugar spike, but it was saying that that's what happens in your blood. And so if I get rid of that and I'm exercising more, hopefully those will both help with my energy levels, and then I'll have less sugar, more exercise, more energy, and then maybe more steady weight loss and muscle toning and stuff. And so we'll see in the next week how consistent I was being with the walking, and how I'm feeling about all this stuff, and how everything is looking. So thanks for your patience with me not posting in the last 2 weeks, and also with me working on this. I hope it was kind of relaxing for you, because I know it's pretty relaxing for me. Sometimes it makes me get sleepy because it's very repetitive. But let me know if you have any questions or any comments or any suggestions, or if you have had any successes with quitting soda, or with walking, or even with intermittent fasting, which I've been talking about as an ongoing thing. Anything like that, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. And you can like and subscribe so you can follow how I'm doing and get ideas if you are on the same kind of journey. And if you haven't seen the previous videos, you can go back and watch those. I have, I think, 3 others so far. And I hope you guys have a great week. Bye!